Welcome to the Two Tired Parents podcast. We are two tired parents.
We are.
I'm Miles Weber.
I'm Heather Weber.
Alrighty. We're going to get into a little bit of parenting chat today. So,
Yeah.
I know, yeah. What do you, anything on the mind for right now?
On my notes.
I mean, I know you got notes.
on
I
my
mean,
mind.
we have been tired this week.
Mm-hmm.
We have been tired this week.
Mm-hmm.
That has been a thing wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
So, our son has been utilizing his popsicle sticks that we've talked. I don't know if we talked about in. Yes, we have.
Yeah,
I
we
think
have.
I think we have talked about the popsicle sticks that he uses at nighttime to get out of bed to be able to go to the bathroom. But then once he's out of popsicle sticks, he's got to stay in his room
Chill or
until
lose a stuffy.
chill or lose a stuffy. Yeah, so that way he's not coming out 500 times over the span of 2 to 3 hours every night. And recent development. He has been saving a popsicle stick. Yeah, one.
Yep.
Like, he will use two, and then he saves that last one the last few nights. And inversely, we are up very early, and he has been getting up.
It's typically around the time we were going to get up-ish anyway.
Yeah,
so
which
it's not
is
horrible.
a little after 5 in the morning. So
And he is
get
getting
stuff done.
better at during the day going to the bathroom by himself. And
Yeah.
so I think that will carry into eventually evening
Yeah.
doing the same thing.
Just got to get him to pull his pants up the right way. Like, that's just that things get so bunched, and I'm always just like, did you tuck your wiener? Like, did you?
He's good at tucking the wiener. It's more like it gets bunched in the back.
Gets bunched in the
Yeah.
back. Yeah, he gets bunched, and that's when I'm just like, okay.
And I think the hardest thing for him is closing his own bedroom door to go to bed. That's a true story.
That is a true story. Yeah, we were trying to get him to close his own door and walk to his bed in the bedroom at night. He's fine with walking around in the bedroom once the door is closed. He just does not care for closing the door himself and then having to walk from the door back to the bed. He does not like doing
No.
that. I mean, it's been a few months since we've
Tried that.
So, but yeah, no, that's been a thing. We've been getting up earlier to get work done in the morning, and then right around the time he's been using that popsicle stick, like, I got to go potty, and then I've gone out with him and he's used it, and so yeah, no, but that inversely has been also a thing about being tired, is getting up earlier to get work done, and then also helping him go potty. So yes, so that's been a reason for tiredness.
I mean, your reason, yeah.
That's been my reason for tiredness. You're growing a human inside of you, so that's why you've
and
been
anemic
tired.
with low blood pressure.
Anemia
Woo!
with low blood pressure, which, I mean, yeah, if you got to do a pregnancy a certain way. Is there any other way? Yes, there is.
Not that way.
So not that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. What else? What else? would
There
you
was other
wanna
things
cover?
that happened this week as far as parenting stuff that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And one was the situation with his Spiderman toy that I thought was an interesting thing to talk about because I talked to one of our friends that came over while you were gone about it, and it was a big discussion. So our son was playing with his Spider-Man toy
Yes.
and broke the arm off.
Broke the arm
Not
off.
able to reattach it.
That's right.
There was no fixing it.
It wasn't a matter of like pulling the arm out and just like the socket was out and you just jam it back in. It was like a clean break
Broken.
off of the plastic. So yeah, Spider-Man has only got one arm, and that happened. And you called a very, very cool audible.
Thanks.
Where
I was pretty proud of it.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of looked at the Spider-Man toy for a while, and your immediate response is, I feel like in most people's heads, is, we'll throw it away. The toy is broken. It's no good anymore. And then you were like, oh, I don't want him to think that one-armed things deserve to get thrown away,
Yeah.
which in a household where we have a three-legged pug, yeah, pretty on brand, even though he was not aware. That was another thing that happened this week when you were at the beach. And you were talking about, what were you talking
The
about?
dogs were playing in
The
the
dogs were
water.
playing in
at
the
the
water.
beach.
They were playing in the water at the beach.
And he was like, "Oh, is it?" Because he's very worried about the ocean, and understandable.
He is my son.
And so he was worried about the dogs being in the water,
Yeah.
and so I was like, "It's okay, like as long as they don't go too far." And I wasn't going to talk to him about currents because he's 3,
Yeah.
but they're fine, and most dogs can swim. And then he was like, "Well, can our dogs swim?" And I'm like, "Well, not quite."
Not quite.
One is just afraid of everything, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how she would react if we were to put her in water.
Yeah.
And at this point, she's about to turn 5, and I feel like maybe it's a little late to find out. And then our other one has a missing front leg, and so doggy paddling is not a thing that
So-
can be done.
So you were like, yeah, Taz has only got 3 legs. And to which he said, he's only got 3 legs? Like, and it's like, you live with him, homie.
Your whole life.
Your whole life, your whole 3.5-year life, you've lived with this dog, and never dawned on you that, oh yeah, he's missing a front leg. So-
I'm just gonna say it's that he doesn't notice differences easily.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm gonna hold it.
Yeah, wholeheartedly. So,
funny.
but we say that story to bring it back around to the Spider-Man missing an arm, and then you're like, yeah, we shouldn't. Things that are missing an arm or a limb don't deserve to get thrown away. And so you're like, you gave him the choice. You're like, we could either throw the toy away, or you can keep it, and it could just be a one-armed Spider-Man.
It'd be a really cool one-armed Spider-Man.
And he
that
was
still
like-
saves the day.
Yeah, and he was like, I think I'll keep it. You know, so he kept it.
He did.
And then what happened?
I mean, that's the gist of it, but
Okay.
it definitely made me, and you'll enjoy kind of the analogy of almost like a Sid's toy type thing, where like when you watch Toy Story, for
Yeah.
those of you that have,
Which should be all of the people.
all but one.
By now, hopefully that person's seen my special, and it's like, oh, I should probably watch this movie.
And so when you watch it, especially as a kid, you're made to believe that, like, and granted, they're not necessarily broken, they're combined with other toys, but you're made to believe that they're not playable
Yeah,
anymore. And it's not the case.
No.
And they help do what at the end? Save the day.
They did.
So,
They did.
So it just kind of made me also think of that, of like, I think we program kids into believe that if things look different or are broken, that they are not workable. And that is just not the case.
that is a fact. Yeah,
So I was pretty proud of that.
yeah, you should be. You should be. That was a super duper cool moment, because I would have just been like, we gotta throw it away, kiddo. I'm sorry, the arm isn't working. But yeah, now he's just got he's got a Spider-Man with a missing arm. So
And he still
yeah.
plays with it and enjoys it. So
does.
it's great.
Yeah, yeah. I just didn't know if like this weekend there was a play date, and then like the other kid was like, "Oh, the Spider-Man's broken."
No, I was telling Athena about it when she was over, about the saga of it. And she's like, oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
Because in that, while she was over, the other thing I wanted to talk about that her and I discussed in depth, one of our son's new favorite movies is Ratatouille, and I'm
Yes.
so here for it.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it as an adult, watch it. It is deep. There are so many lessons
I
in
need
it.
to like properly sit and watch it.
I think we do it as a movie night.
We need to do that as a movie night where I can actually devote my undivided attention to it, because I'm always doing something around the house, or something's happening whenever it's on.
It's deep. There's a lot of family lessons, so I think you'll like that.
Also, no sequel.
No.
No sequel.
There needs to be a
It's
sequel, and there needs
standalone.
to be a live action. It's so easy to do a live action.
Really
Just do a
easy.
CGI rat.
Yeah.
Like the rest of
which-
it's people and
I mean,
food.
they did that with Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah. So, and I feel like that's harder to do aliens than a rat.
Yeah.
So,
That is a fact.
but so that's been his thing also, because our son loves cooking.
Yes.
And so it goes hand in hand with that. And so we were watching Ratatouille, and we had one of my friends over, and in the scene where the lady chef has to now train the new guy, and she goes on her tangent of how hard she's worked to get in that position, and she's the only woman in the kitchen, and everything like that. And so Robin turned, and he was like, why is she mad? And it was cool that we got to explain to him and we broke it down for a 3-year-old, but how like women aren't treated fairly, like in general, but especially in the workplace, and sometimes they have to work harder. And so we just little nuggets of it. And he was like, "Oh, okay, well that's not nice." And then went back, and Athena and I talked about it, of just like how cool is it that, especially now, I feel like in this generation, that so many kids are being raised. Well, why wouldn't women get treated the exact same? That makes no sense to me. And so
Yeah.
it feels like this, especially like generation coming up, they're going to question it more, and they'll stick up for what the unfairness is more. And so it's cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, I think in 10, 20 years, everything's going to look very different in a lot of pockets of the world culturally, and I think that's going to be at the forefront. Is just kind of how women are treated, equality, just that whole scale. Yeah, it is cool to see that coming around the bend as far as the, like, no, women could do. He said as much to us, unprompted, you know? I mean, that's the thing about him being big into wrestling right now, is the women's division, as we've said a lot, doing much better than the men's, and him just out of nowhere being like, oh, the women could do everything that the men can do, of course. And it's like, never lose sight of that thought, buddy. Like, that is for sure. Yeah, that's the way that's what we believe in this household. That's what we practice, and inversely in our circle.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, very much so. There's not like, well, boys do and girls do. You know, so I mean, my nails are painted right now.
Yeah, we did
like,
home manicures and pedicures before you left last week.
Yeah, we did the manicures and the pedicures
because he's been asking for so long to paint his nails. So
yeah, and so he wanted to paint his nails, so we got him the kids' nail polish, and so he painted my toes a sparkling pink, and so that was good. And then he painted my nails purple, which is my favorite color, and it's kids' nail polish, so it came off immediately. And I was like, I don't know, I'm getting ready to hit the road. Like, I don't want to think him to think that he did a bad job, and that I like took it off. So he didn't see my nails really, like when I left, and got dropped off at the airport by you guys. And then inversely, I got to Texas, was staying with my friends, and got nail polish, like proper adult nail polish, and asked my friend's wife, like, hey, could you please paint these purple for me? And she did a fantastic job. It's there. Some of it's starting to come off now, so I need to take the nail polish off.
I mean, he wants to redo his anyway.
Clip
so
them. We need to redo his anyway. And so, but I think this is just going to be a thing now for me.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, I remember it being told to me when I was younger by, you know, just a lot of adults. Like, it was the common societal thing. You know, I mean, girls paint their nails, you know, and you don't want to do that because that's what girls do and boys don't do that. And I'm just like, who cares? Like, I like bright colors. I like bright colors on my nails. Like, I don't care. Let's do this, you know? And so, inversely, that's where, I think I'm just going to start painting my nails more frequently now. I think it's going to be a thing.
I'm
just going to have nail polish on because why not? I don't care. And so, him being able to come up in a time when there is a lot of conversation about, like, I mean, why not? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And inversely, I think that's why, like, today's young generation has been so emboldened to help move things in a progressive direction is because they're like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, and I think you still have the older generation that believes it is equal right now.
No,
and for those of you that believe that, I got 5 hours of just talking about how the fitness material or fitness industry is not fair to women, or the entertainment industry.
Yeah,
I know it's all the industries, but
yeah,
from what I can speak of, I have hours
just about
to share that it is not fair.
Just about every industry. I remember years ago I did this podcast with this kid who had, like, never left San Antonio. And, you know, was this single 20-something, never left the city that he was born and raised in, who commented on a post of mine about, like, women deserve better and, like, women have it just fine. Like, I mean, they got plenty. They're doing just fine. What you're saying is nonsense. Get out of fairy tale land, okay? And I'm just, there's people out there like that.
I've met them.
Yeah. And I'm so... But inversely, like, going back to, okay, you're single, so there's no strong women in your life. Like, I mean, there must not be. Like, from you.
Or there's strong women that weren't explaining to him what was going on behind the scenes.
Wholeheartedly.
So.
And then it's like, you know, if you've never left the city or state that you've grown up, the region that you grew up in, it doesn't speak to the culture, man. I mean, it doesn't speak to, you need to be able to see what other cultures are experiencing and just what other people who aren't yourself are experiencing. Be able to see beyond. Because, I mean, like, being with you for as long as I have, I've only inherently seen, as you said, like the sexism that exists in the health, wellness, and fitness industry, the sports industry, and then we've seen very much so in the comedy industry and the entertainment industry, the unfairness that women are constantly up against, which is nonsense. You know, mine being like, well, women, oh, you're funny for a girl. And it's just like, she's just funny. There are so many funny women who just aren't being given the equal platform and the equal share time. And they deserve as much of a seat at the table as anybody else. We know so many. We're friends with so many funny women and women who are comedians who are killing it right now. And so, yeah, I think
we just need to drop the for a woman on anything.
Yeah.
You're strong for a woman. The girl we work out with is stronger than most men. So, she's like half their size.
She is.
So
she's
just
little and she could bench press me
women
over, or she easily clean and jerk me over her head.
Yeah.
Like,
so I just think we need to drop the whole for a woman thing. Like, just, you are funny for a person. You are strong for a person.
I
Like,
mean, just like you're just
Yeah.
end it there. You're really
you're
funny.
strong. Yeah.
You're really strong.
Yeah.
And that's the end of it. And inversely, we'll have to retire the old adage from Sandlot, you play ball like a girl. I mean, so yeah, that doesn't need to be the insult where it's just like, what do you mean? And it's like, well, let's put you behind the plate in some of the fast pitch softball or even like some of the women's leagues. And it's like, go ahead and hit one of those pitches. You have fun with that one. So yeah, man, I think it's really cool that our kid's coming up in an age where the conversations are not just being had, but steps are being taken in the right direction for that level of equality, and especially with a baby sister on the way with us, it's going to be cool knowing that she's going to be a lot like you because she's going to be your mini-me based off of, I mean, we're going off of astrology and the year of the snake.
Right.
So yeah, we're going off of those for you. And I think that, our household will definitely be one that all of those things are mutually sought after and the conversations are had pretty explicitly all the time. And it's just like, no, there doesn't need to be, there's no room for sexism, racism of any type of negative isms that holds a person down or reinforces a glass ceiling over anyone's head. Like, anybody can do anything, and as long as you can put your mind to it and work within yourself and alongside good people, these things can all happen. Yeah. So, yeah.
The one thing I will say that he has been taught that boys can't do, for obvious reasons, is have a baby. That's been a conversation.
Yeah.
But how sweet of a kid he is.
Not with
all
his
the time.
organs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so, I've been more tired lately as everything progresses.
Justifiably so.
And so the other day I was laying on the couch and he's designated one of his Beanie Baby bears as his baby. And I was laying on the couch and he's been like starting to stuff it up his shirt and like a baby and pretending it's moving and everything. And I was like, oh, do you want to have a baby? And he just looks up and he's like, well, it's not fair that you're the only tired one. And I'm like, get out of here. How are you the absolute sweetest kid on the planet?
He really is.
So yeah, it's very cool, especially for how young he is, seeing how much he's questioning and like the empathy and everything that goes in with it. I'm here for it. I love it.
I mean, we do what we can to answer all those questions whenever they come up. When he's like, what's this? Why is that? Well, what's going on here? We do what we can, I mean, there's plenty of times where he's just stone cold Steve Austin us, just like, what? And then just, why? And it's like on a loop because he's doing it to be funny.
Yeah.
But when he's genuinely curious about anything, we do what we can to stop what we're doing and go, okay, well, let's have this conversation. Yeah. And he's very receptive to the point where, I mean, yesterday we had to have a conversation with him about moving. Yeah. Because we're gonna be moving in the next couple of months, and so we were like, all right, we just got these boxes. We should probably talk to him about it, not before bed. Yeah, doesn't like we're not gonna live here anymore. Go to sleep. See you in the morning. Yeah. That seems weird. Yeah, and so just breaking down to him like we're gonna be boxing everything up. That house we went and looked at a while back with our friend, and he's like, yeah, it's like we're gonna be moving into there. We're gonna live there, and that's gonna be our new home for a while. And he's like, okay. Yeah. And it's like, do you have any questions? No. And that was it.
Yeah.
He was totally fine with it. So
Yeah.
who knows if he'll ask a question he's thought about
I'm sure,
later.
like, as we start packing.
Yeah,
more,
he'll
for sure.
wanna,
But
I
yeah.
mean, his thing was he just wanted to help.
Yeah.
He's like, can I help, box things up?
Yeah.
And pack? And we're like, absolutely. Of
Yeah.
course you can. You could always help. So we do everything we can to include him in as much as we possibly can. And that's having those conversations with them definitely are a big thing. I think another thing that I want to talk about is something that happened with me this week is we've been trying to teach him how to read. And him being my kid, he's got ADHD.
Oh, yeah.
Very much so. It is a real thing. And even though I have a bit, but I do done the bit and it's done well. But I mean, like it ends with me just kind of like being in denial of the condition. That's very real. And go figure. You gave me this like worksheet you printed out where it's like this is kind of like the thing for teaching kids how to read. And I'm trying to go over with him, and he's just all over the place, not dialed in, not focused, and so I was getting frustrated, and I'm just like, kiddo, like, hey, we got to focus, man. Like, look, this. So if this was up here, and then we're looking at the sheet, and so my brain is able to connect.
Yeah.
Here, if this is like this, then this is like this, but it's also hard because English is stupid. And so I felt myself getting a little short with him, not mean or anything, but he was just all over the place. He was on the floor, on the couch, over there, and you came out and you were like, you got to try a different way. He's more of like an auditory learner and things like that. And so you got to try a different way with him if you're going to be going over teaching him certain things like this, because he does have ADHD and he's only going to be able to hold focus in such a way. He has to be genuinely
And despite what your bit says, focus is not a switch on the back
not
of your head.
It's not a switch. Go figure, right?
That's what I think was the funniest thing, because I was in the office when you were doing it and you kept saying focus, and I'm like, man, if I could play his bit right now.
I know. So, like a true champ, you heard and you were like, try a different way. And so I was like, okay, what's a different way? And so then I got his little erase board thing that we have with, like the magnet board with the pen that you write with. And so I got that, and I was like, kiddo, give me one of your toys. And so he got me one of his action figures, and, it was the Green Lantern, which homage to my youth of working at Six Flags as the Green Lantern. I was like, okay. I was like, this is the Green Lantern. So let's try and sound out green and lantern. How do you think this is spelled?
Yep.
And so we just went sound by sound, letter by letter.
Because he knows the sounds of the letters.
Yeah.
Like, he's able to do that and put some of it together. So
Yeah.
that wasn't foreign to him. Yeah.
Exactly. And so we just kind of took it from that type of way of like, let's sound it out. Let's spell it out. Green, lantern. All right. We got the ER here. That's what makes the sound. I know that you'd think it's the letter R, but there's always an E beforehand. So that way it makes
And at least he knows that because of the last name. So,
exactly. Yeah. Last name. I kept going, our last name, Weber, and so yeah. So, and he was able to sit more. He was more interested. He was more intrigued because it had something to do with one of his toys. We're identifying a thing that he plays with, spelling it out and showing him, okay, here we go. And so that definitely worked. And so there was that moment. But inversely, I was thinking back to for 1 month in like 2015. It was right when it was 2015, because it was right when we moved back. It was right before I won the SF competition in 2015. And I worked for a company that was basically like aide or assistant to a child in school who's having a hard time learning, has a learning disability, or can be quote unquote hard to work with in the classroom setting. This kid had gone through a bunch of aids, because if you try and get him to read or write, he was 8, could not read, could not write. You try and get him to do any of those things, he would just destroy the classroom, and it was like a problem.
Yeah.
And I felt a couple days ago going through that with Robin, I felt such empathy for that kid, and just going, oh, I know his home life was less than desirable.
Yes.
Like the parenting that was being done at home was not helping this kid, and probably wasn't a safe place for him to be.
Yeah.
And just seeing like, oh yeah, I can see how easy it is to not have the patience that it takes to teach a toddler, hey, reading, writing. We're doing this now. Like the cooking, you know? I mean, I think back to my mom not having the patience that it takes you to teach Robin how to cook in the kitchen. And that's inversely why I was just always like, get out of the kitchen. And not her fault. Yeah. It was just, it's stressful, man. Like, so yeah, not her fault in the slightest. It's just, it's stressful. Yeah. And it takes more. She, had to work all day and then come home and cook for the whole family.
It's like you just want dinner made.
You just want dinner made. Yeah. It's just like, just let me get this done. She's been up since 3 a.m, working like a 5 to 2 shift, picked me up, did the laundry. Now she's just it's just like, dude, just let her do her thing. And so the patience isn't there, justifiably so. Yeah. And so inversely, like I can see the parents of this kid that I was the aide for not having the patience, trying to teach him how to read, where it's just like, man, come on, it's reading. Come on, don't you just... And that poor kid not being able to have the tools or confidence or patience. And then that would show up in the class because then the teacher doesn't have the patience. And there, no child left behind. We just move the kid along. Just keep passing them along, which is BS, complete nonsense. It's not fair to the kids. No. And so I felt a lot of empathy for that kid who I worked with, and inevitably, like sometimes would have to like wrestle him into just holding him still into his mom.
Just to keep everybody safe.
Just to keep everybody safe, because he would throw a desk across the room. He was a strong kid. Yeah. I would be sweating just from trying to like hold him still until his mom came to get him. Yeah. And so like he would destroy a room. Yeah. And it would be dangerous. And so just the empathy I felt for that kid of going like, man, the patience that you have to have as a parent is it's insane. And so I do want to commend you that your patience is unmatched by anybody I've ever seen. Like it's just with everything you got going on with taking care of your grandma and the household and my crazy ass, like the patience is unmatched. So that was another thing that I wanted to bring up too.
Well, and I think with that, to add on to it, I think that's why. And I wouldn't even say it's necessarily school's fault because there's not a lot of funding in it.
There's not.
But trying to teach every kid the same way isn't plausible. It's not plausible because not everybody learns the same way.
They don't.
And we just cookie cutter everything in schools to teach them one way. And there's no time. And especially a lot of classes don't have aides anymore. It's one teacher, 28 to 32 students. And so you don't have time to work with them one-on-one if they have a different style of learning or ADHD or whatever it is. And so a lot of it, like, schools aren't setting kids up to be successful. Like, not at all. They're not. And then inversely, I think there's so many parents that put it all on the teachers to teach the kids. Yeah. And then the kids are expecting more from the parents when it has to be both. It has to come from inside the home and inside the classroom. Yeah. And if you're putting it all on the teachers, it's not feasible. It's not feasible. No. And so parents have to put in the work at home. Is that always easy? Absolutely not. Not even a little Whether bit. It's patience, time, energy, whatever it looks like, it's not always there. Yeah. But to think that all kids can learn the exact same way and teachers are just these miracle workers. In a lot of ways they are.
They are.
But they can still only do so much with what they are given.
They can. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was very lucky, I think, in ways that I didn't appreciate until I was an adult. In that, I mean, just like Robin, his birthday being past the start of the semester, he's going to be starting, close to a year late. Mm-hmm. Mine was the same. Yeah. And so I was regularly the oldest kid in most of my classes. And I think because of that, though, I had a little bit of an advantage on the learning curve because my brain was a little bit more developed than a lot of the other kids. Mm-hmm. And so there were aspects about learning that and retention that came easy to a degree, but then the ADHD made it really hard to care. Like, I'm just like, this is boring. Mm-hmm. And so that's where, I was always a well-behaved kid. Junior high is when I started understanding what it meant to be funny. Mm-hmm. And so that was when things kind of took a little bit of turn, spent a little bit more time in the hall. Mm-hmm. Making friends with the janitors.
As you do.
As you do. You got to talk to somebody. It's boring out there. Yeah, they got all the keys. So many keys. I'm like, those go to everything? It's like, everything. I'm like, wow, it's amazing. And so inversely, I think that worked in my favor for grade school is that at a young age where your brain is developing the fastest, I was a little bit ahead of most of the other kids, thus being a little bit ahead of the curriculum. So I was able to soak things in a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then from 6th to 12th grade, I was in a very small private school in my hometown, which the classes were so tiny. And so to what you're speaking of, like the teachers didn't have to focus on 40 kids in a classroom or some weird number like that. That's just crazy, where it's just like these kids are going to completely take you over, man. Like you're up against an impossible task here.
Yeah.
And so there was not a lot of us, and then as we got into high school, there was less and less of us over time.
Yeah.
So I think to that effect, like I really lucked out, but I mean that's just not. It's not every other kid's circumstance, man. And so,
and like how to afford a private school and everything. Just it's not a thing for everybody, and so it's definitely not fair. But it does speak to like you learning better in a smaller class setting. Because mine was kind of like that. I mean, I grew up in a private school all the way through 6th grade. I did repeat 5th grade, but it was because I had a horrible home year.
Yeah.
But in that, then after that, I did public school after. But once I started high school, my freshman year, I went to a regular high school with hella kids.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine ended up going to what was called tech at the time, and it was like for the bad kids. But in that, it was like 10 to 15 students per classroom. It was one big building, and then it just had like the dividers so you could hear other classes. For the most part, I think there was one actual room. And in that, because I wanted to be with him, I asked my high school if I could transfer. And they were like, why do you want to go where all the bad kids are? And I was like, I want to go there. And so a lot of work, but also helped that an ex of mine was causing a lot of issue at my school. And so they wanted me out of there anyway.
Yeah.
And so I ended up going to the continuation high school. And in doing so, graduated at 16.
Yeah.
Because I had more help and I understood everything so much faster because I had that help.
Yeah.
It does speak to when you can be in a smaller group setting and you do have the one-on-one time with teachers a little bit more. There's something to it.
There is.
There's something to it.
There is.
So yeah, it's a shame, but in that, also why we're looking at homeschooling. Of just, and because it's clear he learns differently.
Yes.
It's not that he can't learn. He's very, very smart.
Extremely smart.
And knows more than most 3-year-olds, but homeschooling right now seems like the best thing for how he learns.
For now.
Yeah.
For now. Absolutely. So, yeah, we'd love to see the education system in this country turn around, or wherever we end up. But, yeah, just the schools need to be more funded. The education board needs to be better ran. And then, as much as we love wrestling, Linda McMahon, not the person for the job.
No?
So, no.
No A1 sauce?
No A1 sauce. No. Yeah. She was supposed to be saying AI, and she was saying A1. And it's like she took about 4 too many stunners, apparently, in the 90s, and doesn't know anything. And then, inversely, I think teachers should be getting paid more than anybody.
Facts.
How do you, people are like, oh, well, doctors and lawyers. Yeah, how'd they figure out how to do that? They were taught by teachers. So, yeah, man, teachers are the foundational backbone of so much of everything in society, and they aren't paid. They put some respect on teachers' names. And so I think that's only going to help the kids and inversely the parents. Put our minds at ease a little bit. So
well, and I mean, the scheduled teachers have how many things they have to pay out of pocket for their classroom and putting stuff together. People are like, oh, you get the summer off, to plan the school year.
Plan the rest of the year.
They're not on vacation all summer.
Yeah, man, and inversely, they're not getting paid.
No,
while they're gone. I remember there was an episode of Hey Arnold. When the teachers were off and they'd see them working in the summer, and it's just like, what are you doing here? And it's just like, I don't work for 3 months. I can't just not have a paycheck. I'm like, oh, and
well, and I believe most teachers only get paid once a month too. So also interesting. So yeah, it's hard, but in the parenting side of teaching things, I also think that's why it's so important when you are teaching your kid anything across the board. It doesn't have to be academic or not. To not make them feel like they're stupid for not being able to get it the first time
Yeah.
or not know something.
That's a big thing.
Because why would they want to keep learning?
Yeah.
Like, no part of it seems fun. I don't get it. I guess I'm never going to get it.
Yeah.
And so it's really coming down to finding a way to teach anything, whether it's dance, academics, whatever it is, not for them to feel bad because
Yeah.
they don't get it right away.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't mean they're never going to get it.
Yeah.
Just they don't have it right now. And we can come at it a different way and figure out if that works.
Absolutely.
But to make kids feel dumb because they can't read at 8 or whatever the case may be isn't going to the idea of giving like our kids reverse psychology
Yeah.
when they're your kids of like, well, if we tell them they can't do something, they'll want to do it. No, they won't. No, they won't. They won't want to do it at all.
No.
And so it's like, it's not your employee you're doing reverse psychology on, it's your kid.
And you shouldn't be trying to constantly trick somebody into being a certain way or doing a certain thing.
Yes.
Like if what you're trying, if the end result that you're trying to accomplish is such a noble one, then why do I have to be tricked into it in the
Yep.
first place? It should be, you should be able to defend the merit of the path. And then we should be able to logically move forward on that path.
Yeah.
So yeah, the reverse psychology aspect of it is just like, I feel like you're just playing yo-yo with the trust that your kid has in you.
Yeah.
Which is an important aspect of parenting. You know. So, but yeah, no, I think we're aligned on that way. And
Yeah.
we hope to see a positive change in the future, you know, with the future generations, which I think, yeah, we're going to see, but it's unfortunately going to get bad before it gets better.
Yeah, but I think there are so many communities now that are either doing homeschooling, doing like some sort of charter schooling where it's like split time at home and at school. And because I think you've said it before, where everybody just associates if somebody's homeschooled, they're weird. And it's like, for what? For what? Because they didn't socialize? I'm like, Robin socializes just fine and
Talks to everybody.
Talks to everybody. Talks to everybody.
Everybody. He waves at everybody, says
Yeah.
hi to everybody, so he doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
So very, very trusting. So, and now when people are just like, your kid's going to be weird, and it's like, I don't know, man. Let's see what these iPad kids are all about when they get older, you know? So, and that's just kind of like the schooling way is just being glued to a screen, and then they go from being glued to a screen in the classroom with the teacher to now on break and at lunch they're glued to a screen, and the kids aren't playing as much anymore because they're on their phone. They're not having like a social life at lunch because they're on their phones most of the time. So yeah, it's like, I don't know, man.
I mean, and if that's in the school, half the time their homework is on the computer in some aspect when they come home. And then if their parents take them out to eat somewhere or go to even the grocery store, how many times do we see a kid in a shopping cart just with a phone or an iPad?
Totally.
And so we go out to eat, and so
I get the convenience. I get in this moment right now, it works for you and what you need to accomplish and the outcome you want out of this, whatever it is that you're doing as a parent. Long term, this is not going to work out for this kid. This is only going to give you problems. This is only going to give this kid problems. And so you're doing nothing socially for this kid. And inversely, when they're a teenager and don't want to talk to you at the dinner table, you're going to be like, because you want it both ways. You want it when it's convenient for you. And again, it takes a lot of patience.
yes,
It takes so much patience
yes,
to be able to be in a restaurant with a toddler, and you might be with friends or anything like that, and it's like that's why most places have crayons and a menu for the kid to color.
Even
and
then,
so,
I think that the iPad is taking away so many kids' imagination.
it is.
Right? Because how many times, like, have we seen if you take it away, like even Robin at a restaurant, he'll stack the jelly, he'll make the salt and pepper shaker fight. Like he'll do something, or he'll talk to the friends that we're at dinner with. And so at the end of the day, if you're just like screen, you can't imagine anything else because that's all you're seeing. And so I think you're taking away on top of socialization, you're taking away imagination from
You are.
kids too.
And imagination when you're a kid is so important. It's
And last night we were eating dinner and he was making the hot sauce packets from Taco Bell fight. So
he was. He's like,
And my
I want
thing
you
was
to
just-
I want you to pretend to drink this. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
So my thing was just don't squeeze it too hard because it will pop open.
it will.
But-
It will explode. That is the thing that
And
happens.
I don't mind the mess. It's you're gonna hate the mess.
He is, because he's my kid. And I did that.
But and so yeah, like you have to give them time to have the imagination, and then again, they just want to be included. And I'm sure a lot of parents are probably like, "Well, mine doesn't want to be included." It's like, well, it's not going to happen overnight, especially if it's been one way for so long.
Yeah.
But try, like, I've seen so many, especially moms on TikTok, that are on like day 45 where there's no TV, like in the living room and no screens, and how just like the breakdowns are less, like the meltdowns are less. There's more interaction, more play. They want to learn more things. They want to do more things. They want to go outside. And so, I mean, yeah, my dream is like just take the TV out of the living room and just be like done with it.
Yeah.
Done with it. We'll roll it out for a movie night once a week and call it a day.
Oh, like it's a TV day in school.
100%. Like, yep. Like a substitute teacher comes
Substitute
in.
teacher comes in. We're watching The Sandlot again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my fantasy because the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable for the first week, especially depending on how long your kid has been dependent on the screens. But once you get over that hump, just like people with exercising, dieting, whatever you want to call it, after you get past a certain time, it's fun. It's easy. There's differences to it. And so, yeah.
The muscles grow.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to better understand the repetition of what you're doing and breaking things down.
Mm-hmm.
The brain will create new neural pathways and new things will start to happen.
Yeah.
You'll be imagining more. And that's the thing I think as a parent I've been bummed out in, recent memory for me is like my imagination from a kid standpoint not being where I would like it to be, not being able to really latch on to the pretend and the play and the make believe. It's hard for me.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of it is hard for you because there is so much of your job that you do need to be in front of a computer or on your phone for work things. And I think like even because I've wanted to do it in our home, put our phones in a bucket during dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Phones are in a bucket. And just sit and talk. Because that's what he wants anyway.
Yeah.
That's like the whole thing he wants anyway is just to talk and tell stories or sing or play music or whatever it is. And so, yeah, I think it does get hard when your job is reliant on like social media and screens. But to find those times where you can have designated breaks so you can let the imagination do its thing. Because, yeah, I mean, he is a crazy imagination, and I love every second of it.
Oh yeah, I mean, the watching him wrestle with that box of Beanie Babies I got, and every Beanie Baby is a just different person, and it's never who you think it's gonna be. Like, there's a couple of girl Beanie Babies that he's just like, no, this is
Seth
Penta, or
Rollins,
this is
yeah.
Seth Rollins, and I'm just like, okay, right on, man. So yeah, his imagination with what he's able to see in his toys and the play he's able to do is really good. And so yeah, I wish there was a way for me to not be as dialed in with my career as it is, because it is a social media game right now, and I'm working on editing clips for me and other entertainers and managing behind the scenes things and coaching people and constantly needing to advise, and people are sending me that I coach like, oh, here's a post I did, what do you think, do you have any notes on that? And so I have to go watch that. I've got to pay attention to trends and see what way the internet is going, just to be like, all right, y'all, this is kind of where things are going, this is what we're doing now. And so being the necessity of that to be dialed in, I think it's why I cried when I watched Hook on the plane that one time a couple months ago. I mean, because I'm super duper not as bad as, Robin Williams' character in Hook in the beginning of that movie, but I do see a lot of the like, oh, I forgot, what it means I forgot the happy thought. I forgot the play aspect, how to fly, how to crow. So yeah, so I think as a parent, that movie really definitely hits differently now. But yeah, I want to do what I got to do to get better in that aspect. And so, I mean, this weekend I've got things going on that'll hopefully kind of ground myself a little bit more, so I could do some self work, some self care, go within, and like actually carve the time out to be away from anything that's like that, be immersed in nature, and kind of help be guided by somebody who can help me clear some of the weeds inside out. So
I think like the way, especially when I look at him with his imagination, because I think of like I had a crazy imagination as a kid, but
Me too.
mine was, and yours probably the same, mine was a defense mechanism. And it was, I kept making up other realities in my head because mine wasn't the best at home.
it was not.
And so it was a way to take me out of where I actually was. To the point of like, I think when I first saw him, we just rewatched it. It Takes Two with the Olsen twins.
Oh yeah.
I was like hoping so bad that I would run into a girl that looked like me and I would pretend and it would be like this whole thing. And I wanted it so bad because they weren't related. So I'm like, I know I don't have a long lost sister, but maybe there's somebody that looks just like me and we can switch for a day. And so, that was a fantasy I had all the time. But in that, and so it's cool to watch him play. And no way am I saying that our home life is perfect.
No.
But I know it's not that. And what I had. And so in that, it's cool to like watch him have an imagination that he wants us to be a part of.
Yeah.
Because mine was very much like nobody else besides my close friends can come into this. We did home movies and stuff all the time, but that's it. Like, I don't want adults into my imagination bubble. And so it's cool to like watch him be like, no, play this with me. Imagine this with me. This hot sauce is LA Night or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so that helps me, like, as much as my brain will be like, clean the kitchen or do this or do this. It helps me like, oh no, this is an imagination thing that he wants me to be a part of and it's important to him.
Yeah.
So that helps.
Very much so. Very much so indeed. Yeah. So we're doing the best we can, but yeah, patience and doing what you can to try and get back to being a kid, which is, I think, like the biggest part about being a parent is you forget what it takes to be a kid and what that aspect of your life and what your brain is. And they will show you again, like, okay, all right, well, let's do this now. Here we go. Let's bring it back to the play, which is very, very important. Yeah, I think that's going to do it.
We did
for
it
today. Yeah. We
didn't even touch on the topic. I
know. Yeah. So we'll be able to save that for the next episode. Perfect. I don't want to get into that, and I want to make sure we've got enough time to really carve that out. But inversely, I think what we ended up talking about today was extremely important as well. So too. Yeah. So that worked out. So. Make sure that you like, subscribe, share with other parents. Let us know your experience as far as it goes with imagination, play, pretend. What are your thoughts on the public school?
Get rid of the TV.
What are your thoughts on getting rid of the TV and wheeling it out like a substitute teacher? Let's start a movement. Hashtag no TV. The hashtag no TV kids. So yeah, like, is there a way we can make that happen? What are your thoughts on the education system in America or wherever you're at? What ways is it different? What ways is it better? What is some of the positive change that you want to see in the education system for the kids, but also, and like the parents and the teachers? Because I mean, PTA, Parent Teacher Association, there has to be a harmonious marriage there. So in what ways do you want to see positive change moving forward for today's youth and today's kids, so that way everything works in its best way? And what are your thoughts on iPad kids and that whole concept of kids that are coming up right now, and how do we break that cycle? Or maybe you're playing the other side of the coin. You've got an opinion on as to why you think it could be good in some ways. So leave a comment. Let's talk. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. This has been the Two Tired Parents Podcast. I'm Miles Weber.
I'm Heather Weber.
And we will see y'all next time.